Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Stratosphere Lounge after a 2-week delay. I'm your host, Bill Whittle, and looks like we're rolling on all of these guys, and it's good to be back. A few things to talk about while I enjoy my 100-calorie Snicker bar. I've been working and I'm very hungry. I haven't had a chance to look at the questions yet, but it's good to be back. Sorry about all the chewy. Hi, everybody. I was gone for 2 weeks. Last week was really fun. I went to the Star Citizen Convention in Austin, Texas. And we got a chance to meet some of the wacky people that have been involved with this project from the beginning. You know, people who put in so much time and effort and just dedicated so much of their lives to this endeavor. They just put their heart and soul into it. And after all of that work, to meet them in person finally, I just can't tell you how disappointing it was. It was just almost unbearable. Volume's very low. Oh, see, it seems reasonably okay to moi. Let me boost it a little bit. Everybody's saying low volume. I don't know what the problem might be here. Let me have a look. I'm showing good outputs. Let's see if the situation is going to be improved here. Input USB Rode Podcaster. I don't know. I'm getting really good levels here. I don't know what to say about that. Hang on. I don't know. I'm getting really good levels here. And I'm getting good feedback from the mic. Oh, it just got louder? Well, anyway, as I said, meeting all these people who put all this work and time into the whole Star Citizen thing, getting to meet them finally was just one of the most crushing events of my life, one of the most biggest disappointments. I'm still trying to get over it. I just went down for 4 days after I got back. I just burrowed and crawled under my pillows and in a corner and wrapped a blanket around myself and just cried for 3 days. As I am wont to do. Anyway, seriously, we had a really great time. And we saw some amazing things. Nothing that blew our mind like previous years, but they would show you something at CitizenCon in October, something mind-blowing, and you wouldn't see it in the world until a year later. This time, they took a much bigger risk and showed us the stuff that's in development now that we will see in weeks. We really did have a wonderful time. It was a really great little mini vacation for me. It was fun to get away from the work and just kind of do that. And our friend Vipercheck here, otherwise known as Foghorn, submitted a bunch of obscene gestures that were chosen for motion capture. And so Foggy got a chance to direct actual actors in those black leotards with the white tracking bubbles on them. It was actually a pretty high honor for him, to have me there. So I'm sure it was a big day for him. But seriously, it was great. Known miscreant Matt Lloyd had gotten us all a bunch of shirts, and they looked just cool enough to be cool, but if they'd had another 10% on them, they would have looked like a gay bowling league. But they weren't. They were just right there on the border. So those shirts were cool. And also, known miscreant Matt Lloyd also did something really great for a change. He got us. I had a bunch of them, and I guess I just left them at home. which is a shame. You see something. No, yeah. Yeah. Well, as you probably know by now, my full name is William O. Whittle, and the O stands for organization. Organization's my middle name. I don't have mommy, but Matt got a chance to make us some business cards. They were really cool looking. They're about this big, and they were made out of plastic, and they had all the information on it. And then if you held it up to the back of an Android or an iPhone with the software enabled, it would just take you to the website. You hold it up to your phone, and the phone would go right to aurorarepublic.space. That was really cool too. The improvement in the facial graphics and everything was so good that I actually thought, oh God, have I wasted all this time on this stuff just because now the motion capture stuff looks really great, but I have not. I'm just as I got on the show, the Stratosphere Lounge to get going, I was late. I actually started the show on time only because I hit the wrong button. I hit Petunia when I wanted to hit the Pingos, Los Pingos. But right up until about 3 minutes before showtime, I'm cutting this 16-minute video I did on the entire idea of the Aurora project, how it works, what it's all about. And I'm cutting in a bunch of really great video, and it's really starting to cook and starting to make a lot of sense. So I'll probably release that link to Strata Loungers and so on. And if any of you need to shed excess cash, which is an enormous problem these days with Donald Trump as president, but if it turns out that you're carrying just too much money on you to be comfortable and it's tough getting upstairs, that kind of thing, maybe you want to make a tax-deductible donation. Eric Blake tells me that Henry Cavill has been cast in a role in Star Citizen. That's great. I don't know anything about his politics. That's something I like about an actor, when I don't know anything about their politics. But he sure is a great Superman. He looks the part more than Chris Reeves did. He didn't have the same scripts to work with, but he's terrific. And kind of sucks that you have to cast a Brit to play Superman, but we're running out of men in this country, as if nobody's noticed. But I like him. He's a good actor, and he was in Man from U.N.C.L.E. with Armie Hammer, and I know Armie Hammer relatively well. He's a great guy. Really great guy. So we did that, and we had a blast, got a chance to talk to everybody, made an impression on folks. I've been working for the previous year and almost nonstop for the previous 4 months on trying to get this first video ready for October 10th. I mean, for the last 4 months, I'm not trying to whip myself or brag or anything. I'd be working 20-hour days to get this stuff done, and we're making progress, and everything's at 85%. And finally I realized I'm not going to have the first episode. Maybe I'll get a trailer, and then I realized that's not going to happen either. And it depressed me for 3 days. But by the time it came time to actually go, I was over that, and there was no pressure, and didn't bring anything out there. Showed a couple of little clips to a few individuals, and we're just going to come out. Roaring when we're ready. And that is an enormous relief. I wish I'd had that since 4 or 5 months ago, in any event. It was great. And once again, the overriding emotion for me, well, I had two emotions, really. One of them is that classic line on I Love Lucy with Hans Conried. He comes in, he's going to elevate their speech. They want to learn how to speak a little more sophisticated fashion. So Hans Conried has Lucy and Ethel and Fred and Ricky in the living room, and he says, "Now, before I begin, there are 2 words that I absolutely insist that you never, ever use, ever. One of them is swell, and the other is lousy. And I don't know if it was Fred said, well, why don't you tell us the swell one first? So I had two opinions about the whole Star Citizen thing. One of them was swell, and the other one was lousy. I'll tell you the lousy one first. This is not a bad thing. It's just an interesting thing. That cohort, there's 2,500 people, something like that. And of the 2,500 people, 2,470 of them were virtually the same person. They were white males, young but not crazy, older than you would have thought, I suppose. And very smart, and also, as a general rule, kind of out of shape. There were 2,500 people there, but there was enough mass to make 4,000, I would say, without any problem at all. And that just bothered me a little bit, for reasons I will elaborate on in a minute. The swell observation is that watching what they were doing and the complexity of what they were doing and the ingenuity of the workarounds that they were coming up, not just workarounds, just inventing new technologies, just took my breath away. There were little things about just shaping a person's head, and they said, okay, so we can change the shape of a person's head. Now let's put a hat on the person, and the hat gets a little kind of weird. And they said, now let's put a helmet on him, and then the helmet, the supposed to be solid helmet, is moving and changing. And they said, no, we had to do this, we have to do this, and it was just unbelievable. Finally, we saw my favorite part of the demonstration was called character DNA, and they basically are able to make a facial rig now where they can adjust any number of 100 parameters. And they had a pre-recorded speech that they'd motion captured a couple years ago. And they mapped it onto one person, and then they mapped it onto another person, and they were perfect. And then you saw a screen with like 6 people, and they're all doing the same speech. One's like a young Asian guy. There's an older Indian guy. There's a black guy. There's everything, and they're all doing the speech synchronized, and they're all their motions and all their facial capture stuff is perfect. And then they did the thing that really blew my mind. They basically ran the whole speech start to finish, 2 minutes maybe, and constantly were just slowly tweaking all of the facial values. So in the middle of a speech, you'd watch somebody go from being like Southeast Asian to maybe, like Korean, and then they just like kind of become a little more Japanese, and they become kind of Pacific Islanders, and just in a state of constant flow. It was fantastic. But the problems they have to overcome in order to do this led me to my swell observation, which is, while there was certainly enough mass in there to build 4,000 people, there was enough brain power in there to build the Democratic Party, to be honest with you. I mean, there's more wattage in that room than I think in the Democratic Party. And that is a bittersweet thing to reflect upon, because the amount of brain power in both in the audience and on the stage and in the organization was so overwhelming, and just such not just brilliant, but artistically brilliant and dynamic and out of the box thinking and unbelievably complex problems. Unbelievably complex problems are being solved by all these different aspects of the team. And I thought, man, you got a Mars team here. You got an unparalleled Mars team here. These people are so smart they could do anything. And here they are making a game. And that was the bittersweet part of it. It's like, can we apply people to something a little more serious? And then I realized, no, we can't. Everybody wants to go into space. That entire cohort of 2,470 of us out of the 2,500 that were there, we all wanted the same things. We all grew up on Star Trek for the older ones, Star Wars for the younger ones. Want to drive on alien planets. We want to fly in spaceships and land on places. And we don't want to be taken on tour. We want to be able to just pick up, go out there, find a hill that we think looks cool, land on the hill, walk around. And that's exactly what this game allows us to do. and have sunk a significant amount of money into this game, company money, because I think it's the future of this. And when you see this kind of the pitch video, I think for those of you who are still doubters, it should get a little clearer. But in any event, this game has been delayed many times, and there's constantly problems with logging on and synchronizing, and the server drops you and stuff, and we don't really care. It's a little frustrating occasionally, but generally speaking, we don't care because we pay for this game. We're part of the 200 million that went into it, has gone into it, and continues to go into it, and when we see these things that they're doing, it's flabbergasting. It's just absolutely flabbergasting. Swaggering, malcontent Foghorn bought himself a gunship, and 4 or 5 of us, many of whom are here with us today in the live stream, we all just walked out. I mean, we're scattered all over the country, and we're in there, and we're looking, and we all walk out to this ship, and we get in it, and we go flying out looking for trouble. And I'm in one turret, and somebody's else in another turret, and somebody's flying. And it was the Valkyrie, and then it was the Hammerhead Foghorn. And I'm looking out of a turret. I've got these 4 gigantic, lasers, and I kind of spin around to the left, and I see Merlin over there in another turret, and I come around. And you're happy, you're there, and it's a really amazing thing. Now, they did one more thing. I won't go too much longer on Star Citizen. But one of the things that they introduced in this latest version, which is already being tested by those of us that have spent large fortunes on this game, is something that I thought was extremely trivial and really didn't look to me like it was going to be much of things. In fact, when I saw that it was coming out this early, I said, do you guys really, really have to work on something this silly? Can't we work on something more important? And what they were working on and what they've delivered on is something called FOIP, which is Face over IP. And the short form of that is this. You can get a standard webcam like the one I'm using now. You load this software, which comes with Star Citizen. The webcam looks at my face without any markers, obviously, automatically detects my eyes, my eyebrows, my mouth position, all of that stuff. Turn of the head, eye position. It's looking at all of that, 60 frames a second. And it's taking my real-time facial expressions, and it's shipping them up to the server. And it is then sending that information down to the character that I am occupying in this virtual world, and mapping my expressions onto this avatar in essentially real time. So what that means is we just had a taste of it in a demo of it, but it's there now. We can do it anytime we want to. So what it means now is now I can meet Foghorn and Matt Lloyd and all the rest of the guys that are here in a virtual room. And not only is it just like a face, hey, now it's like I'm talking, they can hear my voice, and they can see my facial expressions. It's mind-boggling. And every day we get closer to this kind of, Ready Player One kind of world, which is alarming and amazing, and whether we like it or not, that's the future. So since it's the future, we might as well be there. Anyway, it's a great time. Had myself a blast. And many people criticize this game, many people jealous of this game. A number of people are constantly hyperventilating about how it's a scam and it's designed to just constantly keep taking money without ever delivering anything. And I realized, and I talked to a bunch of our guys about it too. Great to meet a bunch of people. We had 7 of us, something like that. And basically the consensus was the same as what I put so much more eloquently than anybody else, obviously. And that is this. It's worth the money we've already put into. We put a lot of money into this game, but I have already had experiences in this game that have made 12 Aurora Republic members. Thanks, Foggy. Well, we just didn't get all the cats in one place at one time. It seems like there were 7 of us wandering around, another 3 or 4 of them. Anyway, it was a great number, but it's worth it. Already it's worth it for me. I really feel like I can just get out there, hop on a vehicle, land someplace, roll out the rover, and just go exploring and seeing things and sunsets and things I'd always wanted to see. It's pretty good. And the best part of it is it gets better every year. It just gets more and more believable, more and more realistic. Frame rates go up, all of it. You just go out there by yourself and just watch the sunset. Or, if you don't have the luxury of going out by yourself, sometimes you have to go out with other guys and hang out with them too. There's a race coming up called the Daymar Rally, and it's something like 200 kilometers or more, somewhere around there. Somebody could tell me in a second how long it is exactly. And what they're doing is they're basically taking a bunch of teams, and we're one team. We've actually got 2 teams entered in the race. And we are all going to race across this virtual planet in virtual buggies. And it's going to take, I don't know, it's going to be 8 hours, maybe 10 more, something like that. 360 kilometers, Simon says. Which means, we're going to have to be rolling in shifts, and we're going to be at it for 2 days, just driving and try not to hit rocks and swerving in order to make sure that you run over the indigenous cactus-like horrible life forms. That's just absolutely amazing. It's just grand. And 290 kilometers, 4 checkpoints. And the planet's the same for everybody. And you're going to have hundreds of people from around the world participating in real time. And they're all going to be seeing the same things. And if somebody from Australia is running a buggy that passes us, then we'll get to see the buggy go past us. And that's when we'll get on the lasers and we'll just blow those Aussie bastards off the face of my planet. And we'll continue on, and it's amazing. So anyway, that's that. So that was a great deal of fun, and it's good to be back. And we're making good progress. I have had a chance to meet a guy who's actually knows what he's doing, and in the space of 10 minutes accomplished what has taken me 3 months of constant research to try and figure out. So things will be going a little bit faster. We got the paperwork done. We got this pitch video is going to be finished before I go home tonight, and then we're ready to rumble. Let's see if we can do something with this. The only other thing I want to talk about before we get to questions is having missed the last 2 weeks. I don't know how many Bill Whittle Nows we had done when we talked last, but we're on our 4th week of them now. And after, I don't know, it's been 3-4 years of trying to find the formula. I can't write any more stuff about foundational values. I've done 400 of these things on and off, and I don't know how else to do this kind of stuff. But I do have a lot to say about the news, and Scott brings some interesting questions, and I had a chance to really think on my feet, which I really like doing. I'm very proud of them. I think they're great. But the best thing about it is that I think this is the actual honest to God formula, the magic bullet. Because I don't have to write them. That alone's a deal killer now. And if I were going to be shooting them on my own, they would have a habit of shifting into bill time. But I realized that, I think I said last time we talked about this, I realized that I've done 10 years of right angles and trifectas, and I haven't missed a shoot unless I was out of town. So we just recorded to 28, 29, and 30 today, so that's 4 weeks, and every day. And the difference in my attitude and my mental health, which was never good to begin with, is enormous, because I spent the last 4 months cranking on this thing. It's like, I got to get back to the political stuff, but I have to. Now I shoot twice a week. Scott has been a frickin' champion. He's just absolutely, unbelievably taken over the thing. He does the editing, he does the posting, he does a tremendous sales pitch at the end of every one of these things. Talking with Matt, we had some problems with logins and passwords and all kinds of things coming from the decaying past. We're trying to basically leave Ramshackle Island and move the whole thing onto something new, and that's a little problematic. But in any event, because I have to meet Scott, I have to be here. And And since Scott goes to work in the morning early in Texas time, I have to be in the chair at 8 here. And on Mondays, I have to be in the chair, lit, ready to go at 6. And that's very, 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 very good for me. Very, 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 very good for me. I can't tell you how much. I mean, I did a year with the NRA show, and I got to be up there every morning, and it was great. And then 7, 8 months without it, you just start sliding. You know, I'm a night person, and I just start getting up later and later and staying up later. And now I'm here twice a week at 8 and once a week at 6. And Scott does an amazing job. And Scott has, is this live? Yes, Johnny the Frost. Unless you're watching on YouTube, in which case it's not, it's dead. And Scott picks the, I really, honestly, I still have to do some processing to get the sound. I have to audio filter the sound. I could probably get Scott the software. But the honest thing is, aside from that, I just don't touch it. I walk on. I spend 3.5 hours on my makeup, obviously. I think that's just goes, we'll just take that as read. But then I just walk onto the set over there. And away we go. So it's been absolutely great, and I'm very, very, very proud of them. And I don't have to do all of this, stuff that actually lowers the views, like green screen and graphics and compositing and special effects. The world has changed, the message has changed, the shows have changed, and the website's going to change in the next day, I think. We'll give it a little beta test. Maybe we'll do a Star Citizen thing with the website, and we'll alpha test it for 6 years. And you can all pay exorbitant funds while we alpha test that thing. In any event, it's been great. And by the way, I am aware of the fact that I owe you a Stratosphere Lounge. I have to just take the whole thing, and I have to chop out the idiotic thing where I held up the address, and I've got to block that out. That's why I haven't done it yet. And the original P snowflake, I'm going to guess that the P stands for precious. Says, Bill, your microphone on Bill Whittle now has a sort of funny sound when you speak, sort of a thump-like thing. It's absolutely true. It's just terrible. I'll walk away from the mic, and I'll put the headphones on, and I'll hear this boom, 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 boom. It's just it's a USB mic, and I'm doing it through a computer. But once again, Scott Ott steps up and has shown me a rig he's got that uses actual audio components with XLR connections, and all goes into this thing, and then that one thing comes in through USB. But the mic's going to go. I just have to get around to it, and I'll get to it hopefully next week, because I shoot on Monday, I shoot on Tuesday morning, I shoot right angles. I shot 3 this morning, but Thursday and Friday is pretty much open for me. I've already done all the thumbnails for Bill Whittle Now and right angle and all that stuff. So I'll see if I can order that, and I'm going to change that logo. The logo that you see on the screen back there is not actually the one I wanted, although it's the one I wanted. There's a much cooler one, and we'll be getting to that. Sorry if anybody's getting seasick out there. Okay, so anyway, it's great. That content's not going anywhere, by the way. Those Bill Whittle Nows are never going to go away. I really think that this is, well, when I say never, I mean for the next 8, 10 years, something like that. It's the perfect solution. It gets me up, gets me going in the morning. Gets me in the chair early. I get a lot of work done, and then when I'm done with my political work, I can work on this Aurora work and not feel guilty about it, because I'm getting out 20 minutes a day on Bill Whittle Now plus the right angles. So, sweet. All right, let's stop gallivanting around here and lollygagging and all that stuff, and check out the fabulous Facebook page and see what's up. I know there's going to be some, I hope anyway, there's going to be some first man questions in there. I was giving that a lot of thought today. But you never know. You never know what you're going to get. Let's see. All right, so scrolling down, come on now. Bloody things. I've seen shows that are produced, and like over at Daily Wire, for example, they have switchers, editors, producers, sound guys, producers, camera guys, you know, support personnel and producers, and it's nice to not have to do all this stuff by yourself on the fly, I would imagine. All right, here we go. Let's see. Come on.